Welcome back, my name is LastKnownMeal, and today I'm going to talk about Assassin's Creed Origins and why Ubisoft needed this game. When the first Assassin's Creed came out in 2007, I played it around 3 times, and even though it was a repetitive game every time it was somewhat the same, I still loved the setting and the story and, well, the Hidden Blade mostly. The story of Altair was one of the good ones. After that we got Assassin's Creed 2 featuring a different setting and a new character called Ezio Auditore. That game improved on so many things from the first one, and for me it is the best game in the franchise. The amount of things you were able to do was phenomenal, and the Renaissance Italy was a beautiful thing. And then after that comes the trouble. The story of Ezio continued in 2 similar titles called The Brotherhood and Revelations, which I enjoyed, but it was still becoming the same. Also, the story with Desmond Miles was getting a bit more complicated. I don't want to go too far into that to avoid the spoilers, but generally as it started out you have a small area to explore in Assassin's Creed 1, then it became a thing where you as Desmond started to pick up more skills from Animus, but it feels like it just went sideways and even the writers didn't know what to do anymore. For me, it felt that way. Another Assassin's Creed game that I enjoyed was Black Flag, and then everything after that was either full of bugs like Unity or just the same like Syndicate. And even though every new game offered something new, it was still the same old thing, and only a true fan of the franchise would kinda enjoy it. Like me, I ignored a lot of issues since I was so much into the history and the story of the game, but the technical parts of the game were just shallow. And then Ubisoft decided to take a break, since they were releasing a new Assassin's Creed game every single year, and we know whenever there is a game being released every single year, it's going to become a repetitive title. And then came Assassin's Creed Origins, a new improved version of Assassin's Creed featuring a new setting, ancient Egypt, new protagonist, new gameplay elements and so much more. But even then I was afraid of the marketing, but I pre-ordered the game since I'm a robot. But even then I feared that I made a mistake, and oh my god, I was wrong. I know I sound like a fanboy, but from the first moment I got into this game, it felt like a different game. I didn't have a feeling like I was playing the same old Assassin's Creed, since previously I knew what to expect, but this was a whole different thing. First thing I noticed was the combat. It was a difference since you rely a lot more on your sword or axe or the hammer or even your bow. A bow is a huge thing in this game. And it does feel like a button masher like in the previous titles, but there's still some things and some tactics you can use against enemies, like using your shield and so on. Now, the biggest minus of combat in Assassin's Creed Origins was the camera. The camera can sometimes get stuck, or it can get too close, or it just starts spazzing out, and the problem is, once you're fighting more enemies, you don't have the same, you don't have the same idea when to react when your enemy is attacking, because the camera starts moving all the way around and you can get a bit dizzy. Like honestly, in some portions of combat I actually got dizzy because the camera was going from one place to another. It can be a huge problem when you're fighting more enemies, but not all the time. Next thing I want to talk about is the story. Ubisoft is great in using different settings. If you look at Division or Wildlands, they know how to create the settings. Those games have issues with the map and the setting, but that's a story for another day. But Egypt is beautiful. Using the power of Anvil Next 2.0 engine, the game is stunning and so beautiful, and it's not like beautiful at times, but usually always. And it's running really good, and you can choose from so many settings in the settings menu to really optimize your graphics. I know that AMD users are having a lot of problems. It's not running as good as it does on Nvidia. That is something that Ubisoft needs to work on. But the one thing that bothered me so much is the DRM. So many layers of protection can actually hit your CPU, and the problem is, it is going to reflect on the game. It's going to be hitting your FPS. So that is something that Ubisoft needs to think about. Like, you add so many layers of protection on a game that is eventually going to be cracked, and what do you get? Players that paid for the game are going to be hit by all those stupid DRM levels of security. So to go back to the story, again it does switch between the real world and Animus. I don't want to go too far into it, as I said, because of the spoilers, but it's a very different story, and honestly, in my opinion, a very decent story. It does feel a bit rushed during some parts of the game, but again, I liked it, and it's definitely a plus for this game, not a minus. You can also play with two characters during some parts of the game, not always, I want to point that out. Those two characters being Bayek and Aya. I just hope I pronounced their names right. When it comes to side missions, they're very decent in my opinion. Some of those side missions are really good. Some of those side missions are just bad. I don't know how to say it. Like, some of those side missions feel so rushed, and I don't know what to talk about them. But there's some side missions that are actually really good, and there's so many side missions to choose from. I mean, this is finally a game that gave us freedom. You can go wherever you want. Of course, every single portion of the map is a different level area. You won't get far once you start attacking those high level enemies, and for example, you're still a low level protagonist, but still the game doesn't hold your hand. From the first portion of the intro, like 2 hours I believe, after that, do whatever you want. It's open to you. If you played Wildlands, you kinda know how the map is going to be divided. Even though it's one huge open world, you have different level sectors. For example, each area of the map is going to feature different level enemies, different level missions, and so on. So you want to keep close to your level, and once you go level up, then you can go somewhere else and just explore this huge world. You can also hunt in this game. You have your eagle called Senyu, and he's going to serve something as a scout to show you things. Then after you hunt, you collect different pelts to upgrade different pieces of armor. You have a huge selection of weapons to choose from, and they all have a different bonus for you to take advantage from. Like, one sword is going to have poison on itself, one sword is going to be balanced. If you use like a giant axe, you're going to be slower but deal more damage. Then there is the like a final form, I call it a final form, where once your aggression bar fills up, you have like a special attack to use on the enemy, and every single weapon has somewhat of a different attack, like a different special attack. Skill system is also great in this game. You have 3 major paths, like a warrior, assassin, and hunter, but you can mix those up, so that's going to kinda give you a decision what kind of a character you want to play with. Besides all of those things, there is one problem called the AI. It needs some work. It's still stupid and enemies are predictable, like they were in all those previous games. So work on your AI, Ubisoft. It's always one of the major flaws in your game. Besides all of the things above, AC Origins is still a game Ubisoft needed. They took a step back, they finally listened and gave us a very decent Assassin's Creed game. Mostly because it has that element of just one more thing before I finish, and I found myself just wandering the area, doing other things, and still having fun. This is a step in the right direction. They're finally stepping up their game, they're finally changing the core gameplay, and it served them good. Now look, this is not a perfect game, but still a very enjoyable experience. And from this point onwards, if Ubisoft keeps the things we loved and works on everything that was bad, the next Assassin's Creed game can be amazing. Honestly, I don't care about the setting, since I know they will always get it right. I mean, you have to agree on one thing, like the settings are always great. Someone wants to go to Japan, some wants to go to, I don't know, the ancient Vikings or whatever, but honestly, I don't care. Give me something different, I'm going to be satisfied with it. Just don't give me the same thing, just don't give me the same setting. But I'm going to leave the fight between which setting is going to be to you guys, because I just can't wait to see the comments down below. So this is something that actually not only the fans of the franchise will enjoy, but also other people that want to go into Assassin's Creed. You don't have to play the other games to understand this one, and that is something Ubisoft is probably aiming for. And it delivers very well on those portions of the game. Also, one thing I didn't talk about was parkour. It feels simplified, not really interesting like in those previous games. Like during some parts it's good, during some it's bad. I don't know, it's not interesting as it was before. Like when I'm climbing something, I don't feel the danger, it just feels like, hey, this is parkour, and that's about it. Honestly, in my opinion, it feels a bit shallow and not as interesting as it was in Unity, for example. That game had a really good parkour. So to sum things up, it feels like they took everything from the previous games and placed it into one title. It feels like a great return of the series, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for us in the future. Just lose the microtransactions, Ubisoft. Come on, you can do that. We believe in you. So that is all I have for today. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. I hope this video wasn't too long, but don't forget to tell me down below in the comments what you think about Assassin's Creed Origins. Did you play the game? Are you looking forward to the next Assassin's Creed game? Just I wanna hear your opinions on this topic. And that is all. LastKnownMeal signing out, and stay classy, everyone. Bye bye.